week 3, Mr. Kilroy. Upon further review, we are
some technical difficulties.
yes, we did, but we're on now. We are brought to you by Conlon Tarker, Troy Allen Chevrolet Buick GMC, along with Penn United Technologies and the Butler Health Systems. My name is John Enrietto. I'm the sports editor of the Butler Eagle, flanked on my left by Mike Kilroy, one of our sports writers, and Derek Piter to my right, the other one of our sports writers. And gentlemen, week 2 is in the books, and I'm going to do some bragging right off the bat because I was informed just before we started this program that from Derek Piter that I was 10-0 last week. So
Congratulations!
I shouldn't have told you.
There you go. You should, but you did tell me, so I'm going to brag on that right away. Derek, let's go through our records. How is Scoop doing, and how are you two guys doing here?
Well, Scoop is 27-4. Very impressive after 3-week full games. Mike is also 27-4.
So now tied with Scoop.
He's tied with Scoop, and John, you and I are both 25-6. So not
it's tightening up a little bit.
Not too shabby.
It's tightening up.
I lost 2 last week. Yep. That's my worst week.
This race is tightening a little bit.
A
little bit. Yep. Mike, we will start with you. What immediately comes to mind for you when we look back at week 2 of the high school football season?
What comes to mind for me is just how good North Catholic is. They played for a really good Freeport team. This Freeport team is pretty solid on defense and offense, and they put 40 points up like that. That's how good North Catholic is. If they can do that to Freeport, just imagine what they're going to do to.
Yeah, because Freeport's not that bad.
Freeport is a pretty good, solid football team, and North Catholic shredded them like grated cheese Friday night. Another thing that jumps out at me is Slippery Rock putting it to Franklin. Caleb Kammerer, a guy we've talked about for the last few weeks, having a big game. And of course, Mars defense again was stellar against Greensburg.
Just missed a shutout. Yeah.
Just missed a shutout. I called the shutout.
You did call that shutout.
They got as I understand, Greensburg Sam scored late to avoid the shutout. So those 3 games really jumped out, particularly North Catholic. We knew they were good. I don't think we even thought they were that good. But to do that to Freeport, that just blows my mind that they're that good.
What comes to mind for me is Karns City, a tough loss to Clarion. That you covered that game. It was 7-7 in the second half. They gave up a couple touchdowns, lost 21-7. Karns City now 1-2. They're not that far from being 3-0, really. I mean, they just haven't been able to get a couple of games polished off there in the fourth quarter. So Karns City's 1-2 record as opposed to a possible 3-0 is what stands out for me. Derek, what are your thoughts on last week?
I was going to mention 2 games, the first one being the North Catholic game, but Mike covered that already. I'm going to go on to the fringes of our coverage area and talk about Union AC Valley. I did not think that they would go out and keep that game against Kerwinsville as close as it was. They lost the game 14-13, but Brad Dittman might have something this year. They're obviously playing a lot more schools that are more comparable to their size this year with the redesign of District 9 now, the small school division. Even in their non-conference weeks, they're playing small schools from the north, as is the case with this week when they play Otto Eldred. I think that's going to be a plus. You lose a game, sometimes there's still positives you can take from that, and I got to believe Brad Dittman's taking some positives away from losing just by 1 point to Kerwinsville. I think that's a step in the right direction.
I also have to give kudos to the defense from Mike mentioned the Mars defense as well as they played. How about the Seneca Valley defense? I mean, that's a game that you covered last week. I mean, Kenny McMillan's not a great team, but they do have a very solid offense. And Seneca Valley hung a goose egg on them last week. That's pretty impressive.
31-0. Now, it was a bit tempered when I found out that 10 players for Cannon Mac, including 7 two-way starters, were out because of a team violation thing during the week. I guess they got caught at some...
They're caught doing something, that's for sure.
Doing something wrong, but still, I mean, Seneca Valley's defense, and you can just tell by last week was the first week I saw them. They hit. They're not afraid to hit. They're a very physical defense. And even aside from last week, the week before they lost by a very close game to Central Catholic, and then the first week they dominated McDowell. So even aside from last week's game, I think Seneca Valley's defense, the team as a whole, is on the right track, definitely.
Yeah, we'll get into the picks for this week a little bit later on here, but Seneca Valley certainly with an intriguing game coming up Friday night. let's switch gears here. And Derek, I believe it is your turn for our weekly over/under segment, where you give Mike and I 3 categories and what the over/under is, and we take it from there. So hit us with number 1 here.
All right, Mars's defense has given up exactly 1 defensive touchdown in each of their first 3 games. Their 1 touchdown they gave up against Moon was a recovered punt. That doesn't count.
Correct. Yeah.
1 touchdown defensively in the first 3 games.
Right.
Now they're in the conference play. The rest of their regular season is going to be conference games. 7 games left. How many games does Mars's defense give up 1 or less touchdowns over under 2.5?
Ooh, good one. I'm going to go over, because just for the simple reason that I think that's a hard streak to keep up, especially in their section, which is pretty good. I'm going to go over on that number. Mike?
I'm going to go over too, because there's some pretty good teams in that section. Some pretty good offenses. I think at least 4 games. I think they're going to give up some points in that section schedule, but probably not that many. But probably enough to push that to the over.
What's your over/under on that one, Derek?
Over.
You're going over?
I think Mars is going to, you get into conference play, things usually get a little tougher. I think, they can still go out and win a bunch of games, but I think their defense is going to give up a few more scores as they get into conference play starting this week against Penn Hills. So we all agree on that one.
You all agree on that one?
All right.
Yep. Okay, then number 2.
Freeport's quarterback, Austin Romanchak, last year put up exactly on the nose 1,200 yards of offense. Most of those yards obviously came passing and rushing. He actually added a few receiving yards.
He did.
This year, his over/under by the end of the season, offensive yards 1,400. He put up 1,200 last year.
Now this is everything combined, rushing, receiving, and throwing the
And
football.
right now, he has 332 yards. That's right.
Ooh, over. I'm going to say under, but not by much. I think he's going to have a solid year, but 1,400 yards is a lot of yards for that offense. And I don't know what the status is of their running back, Connor Sellinger, which could impact Romanchak also. So I'm going under there.
I'm going over. I'm going over on that.
We disagree on this one.
Because Freeport's going to get through this rough stretch of their schedule, and then they're going to have a little bit of an easier go here the rest of the way. And he is their offense, especially if Sellinger's out. If Sellinger's out, he is going to be even counted on to provide more yards than that. And like Derek said, he's playing a little bit of receiver. So between the passing,
no question.
Between the passing, the rushing, which he's a big time running threat, and he's going to catch a few passes too in that offense that they're running. I think he goes over, not by much, but I think he gets in that 1,500 yard range.
Okay.
I'm going to go over with Mike. After this week's game against Elizabeth Forward, their schedule gets really easy.
It does.
He's going to churn up some yards big time.
So the last one I got here is keeping in mind that even if North Catholic wins the Whitfield title,
right,
and I think they're going to.
Okay.
The most Whitfield playoff wins they can have is 3 because they only take 8 teams in the playoffs.
Right.
Number of Whitfield playoff wins from our coverage area this year, 5.5.
Ooh, that's a good one. Whitfield playoff wins.
Whitfield playoff wins.
5.5.
Ooh, that is a really good.
And the most North Catholic can have is 3.
That's a good one. I'm going over. I think we'll get 6. I'm going over.
I'm going under. I think we're going to get 5. I think North Catholic.
It's a tough one.
I think North Catholic is going to get 3 of them, and I think Mars and Seneca Valley is going to get 1.
And I
It's
think
going to be the 5.
And I think Freeport's going to make the playoffs, but go over because they're going to be the 4th place team from their section. They're going to draw a really good seed, and I think they're going to go 0-1. Actually, right on the button, I agree with Mike. 3 for North Catholic, 1 for Seneca, 1 for Mars. This is a scary day. I agree with Mike Kilmer.
Where I disagree is I think the surprise team is going to be Seneca Valley. I have them winning 2 playoff games.
Okay.
So that'll be the difference.
That's the difference.
That's the
That's the
6
difference.
right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good.
That was
I
good.
spent all night thinking about this. All night thinking about this.
He was up, tossing and turning, 3 o'clock in the morning. What's my third over-under going to be? What's my third over-under?
He came up with one.
What's the over-under? What time I fall asleep tonight? 4 a.m.
3:30.
I don't know what Derek. Sometimes he never falls asleep, so there's no over under there. Well, let's move on. Big rivalry game this week coming up. Karns City travels to Moniteau. Derek, a lot of history in this game. Obviously, this rivalry dates back to 1957. It's been dominated by Karns City in recent years, but this is always. I've been covering sports for the Eagle now for 21 years, my 21st year, I've always felt this. I am old. This is in my view, this is the best rivalry in Butler County, in all sports, and football included. Though it has been a bit one-sided, but I love this rivalry. What are your thoughts on Karns City versus Moniteau?
Just to throw the number out there, I looked this up: 44, 21, and 3 in Karns City's favor. But to me, games like this is what high school football is all about. You're going to have your games against teams that are an hour, or in D9's case, some games that are 2 hours away from you. But when you get to play a team in your own backyard, and like you said, there's a history there. These teams have been playing each other since 1957. It adds something to the game, and it's one of the reasons why I hate to see the Mars-Knoch rivalry put on hold for a while. Butler still plays Seneca, but that rivalry right now is so one-sided.
Right.
This one, I think Karns City and Moniteau, it's not just the schools, it's the communities. It literally is the communities coming out, cheering these kids on, and chance to get bragging rights at least for 1 year. As you said, it's been dominated by Karns City lately, but these kids get up for this game. There's not going to be any problem with coaches getting these kids up for this game. It's Karns City Moniteau week, and it's one of the reasons why I love covering high school football. The atmosphere that comes with games like this.
Mike, what are your thoughts? Moniteau, KC.
This one,
you've seen both teams play this year.
This one, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, was insane. This rivalry, insane. You would get like $2,000 50-50 draw.
Oh yeah.
You would have to get to the stadium like 2 hours early just to find a parking spot. It's kind of lost a little bit of that luster over the past 5 years or so. But
why do you think that is?
I think it's coming back this year. I think because it was a little lopsided.
Okay.
I think it's gonna re-blossom this year because both these teams are so evenly matched. This year they're both 1 and 2. They've both had some rough patches in these games. I think if these two teams played 100 times, each team would win 50. That's how evenly matched I think these two teams are. So I think that's more than anything is what's going to give this rivalry some juice again for not just this year but for several years down the road. Because I think anytime you have this rivalry was best when Moniteau and Karns City were pretty even. When Moniteau Moniteau won a couple of games in Karns City upsets or mild upsets and some great games. Karns City went to Moniteau and won in a mud bowl 1 year. That kind of stuff really juices up a rivalry. So I think this year is going to be the start of a rebirth of this rivalry because the teams are evenly matched. So I think that's what's going to drive this rivalry forward. Is that?
Yeah, Moniteau has not defeated Karns City since the District 9 title game 7 years ago, 2011.
Yeah, that's about when that
26 to 12.
started.
But then you look at the 2 games immediately after that. Karns City won them both, but the scores were 26-24 and 20-7. They were close. Then, as you mentioned, then it got lopsided: 49-12, 48-6, 43-6, 41-0.
Yeah, that's when the rivalry kind of started to fade.
Last year was a good game, 33-19. It was a decent game last year.
I covered that game, and I thought Karns City was going to blow them out of the water. They ended up winning 33-19. The Gremlins did, but Moniteau kept the game close virtually the whole way until the very end.
Yeah, 26-24 game. That was a game. Karns City drove the length of the field. To win it at Moniteau. So
I think it's a classic rivalry just because these two towns are literally right next to each other. Moniteau kids know Karns City kids. They hang out with them. They see them all the time. I mean, it goes way beyond just a high school rivalry. This is almost neighborhood versus neighborhood. I mean, that's how close this rivalry is. I really love this game.
What gives it a lot more juice is like what Derek said. The communities really get into it.
They do.
They're fanatics. That's where fan comes from, shortening up fanatic. And both of these fan bases can get fanatic when both of these teams are good. And I think that's what's going to bring this rivalry back. Because I think both these teams are pretty good this year, despite their 1 and 2 records. That's why I think this rivalry's got some juice again.
I once wanted to do it. This is a true story. I once wanted to do a feature article on a Moniteau football player who married a Karns City cheerleader. And the couple wouldn't do the story because they were afraid of the repercussions from it. That's how big this rivalry is. I mean, it's incredible.
It's like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. My favorite memory, and you guys will both remember this, when we all drove out to Clarendon University to see at the time.
Sam Tallarico, who used to work with us, Derek, John, Enriano, and myself. We
all drove out there. The District 9 title game. and we all piled out of the car, and we all, well, Scoop had picked Moniteau to win the game, and Karns City wound up winning the game rather handily, if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, it was a blowout.
And the Karns City student section started to chant some derogatory things toward the Butler sports staff, and the then athletic director of Karns City, Tom Wagner, was very apologetic about that, but we all kind of laughed about it. We thought it was funny actually.
Well, Tom Wagner had the greatest line when we came piled out of the car. It's like clowns coming out of a clown car, and all four of us just piled out of this car.
It was pretty good. Some fond memories there, but we're looking forward to this game. You get the privilege of covering that game this Friday.
Yeah, I think
so
they show
it
up
should
a
be
little
lot of
early
fun.
because I have a feeling, and buy a 50-50 ticket because I have a feeling that
Buy
pot's going
that
to be
50
big this
oh,
year again.
buy that 50-50, and if you win, you got to share with us. Since, you know.
Well, I'm going to give
That's-
part of it back to the.
Oh, are you?
I always do that.
That's,
if I win.
that's pretty nice. Okay. You mean you won these before?
I've
I've never won
not
one.
a big one. I've won a smaller one at school, and I gave like a quarter of it back. So it's really a 25-75 when I
I'm
won.
not giving anything
Wow.
back. So.
Oh, I know. Ooh, the producer's like, ooh.
Producers give me a hard time over here.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I don't know. Well,
Hey, it's better than taking it all. I'm giving some.
that's right. We will pick the Moniteau Karns City game in our pick segment coming up, but before we get into that, let's switch gears a little bit here. And Mike, the school that you cover on a regular basis, Slippery Rock High School, they are off to a 3-0 start and looking very good. I got to ask you, are the Rockets for real?
Oh, I've said this in other shows, and I've said it in private to you guys in the sports department. They are definitely for real. Their defense has always been good under Coach Wenderoos. So it's been the offense that's kind of been holding them back a little bit. They weren't really able to get in sync. Last year, they weren't really able to get in sync, which produced some of their losses. This year, they're in sync. Kayla Kammer's off to a great start. Vito Pelosi's really settled in at quarterback for them. Their offensive line has gelled. Their defense is just as good as ever. We'll see this week. This week is going to be a really big test for them against Sharon. So I'm sure they're gunning for Sharon. They're looking forward to this. They want to see how they stack up against one of the teams in the region that they feel like that they're going to be competing with down the road for the region title, along with Grove City, which is the following week. So they got two tough,
they got some
tough
big ones
games
coming
here
up.
these next 2 weeks. But this is the best Slippery Rock teams I've assembled since Coach Hathaway. Those great teams, Coach Hathaway.
I was about to say, it really wasn't that long ago. Was Slippery Rock
No, it
was
really
long.
wasn't.
Yeah,
Coach Hathaway had
mention-
some great teams before he
Yeah.
left for another job, and then Coach Wenderoos eventually came in, and he's kind of built. Every year they've gotten better. They're 2-4-7, 2
Yep.
playoff wins those 2 years.
Yep.
They already have 3 wins, which is
With
matches
matching
their
records in total last 2
season
years,
total last year. So they're I always thought they're heading in the right direction both those years, and this year the fruits of that labor is kind of showing up as far as sticking to the course, sticking to the program. Their defense is phenomenal. Their defensive line is phenomenal. That's going to win them a lot of games in and of itself, no matter what the offense does. But now throw the offense in, and how prolific they can be now, and you're talking a really tough team to contend with.
Yeah, you mentioned Brendan Hathaway. They were over a 3-year stretch. He was 30 wins and 4 losses in that 3-year stretch there. Derek, what are your thoughts on Slippery Rock's team this year?
I think anytime you take over a program, as Larry Wenderoos did just a few years ago at Slippery Rock, you want to put your stamp on that program as soon as you can. And even in that season, when they went 4-7, I thought he was able to do that. Their playoff win was a playoff upset. It surprised me. Came back last year, another 4-7 season, but as Mike said, they won another playoff game. Now they got that defense going. They got some skill kids on offense to put up some numbers and score some touchdowns. I think this program is just trending up, and I know how good Grove City is, but in a few weeks, Slippery Rock plays Grove City, and I'm anxious to see how that game turns out because I know how good Grove City's offense is. At least I see the numbers. I'd love to see what Slippery Rock's defense does against that potent offense against Grove City.
This week too, don't overlook Sharon. This week's going to be a big test for them too.
Yeah, we had a threat of a special guest watching in, but he shot away. One of our news reporters, Jim Smith, wanted to come in, but he chose not to. So that's fine. You can stay away from us.
He's got to go
That's
complain
fine.
about the Red Sox only having 98 wins at this point of the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's
This
a big Red
show's
Sox
too
fan.
big for Jim Smith.
Yeah. We don't need any news invasion here on this sports show.
What's he going to talk about? Some boring like courts, police.
Okay, well,
This
anyway.
is where it's at.
This is where it's at. And we have reached our pick'em segment, looking at the week 3 local schedule coming up. And we will start out with Butler at Pine-Richalnd. It seems like out of the frying pan into the fire for the Golden Tornado there. 0-3 on the year, still struggling in the first half. Got off to a decent start against Mount Lebanon last week. Had a pick 6 of their own. Daniel Klein, we went back 50 yards, gave Butler a brief lead, but Mount Lebanon came back and had a big lead at halftime and rolled to a 44-21 win. Pine-Richalnd 2-1. They're not undefeated. They had the, I guess, mispleasure, if that's even a word, of facing IMG Academy in the first week. They lost 42-0. So Derek, how good can IMG Academy be to not only shut out Pine-Richalnd, but to beat them that bad?
Well, it's obviously really good, but IMG Academy's in Florida. They literally have players on their team from all over the country.
I think 17 different states are on their roster.
It's. I mean, that's a tough gauge when you're playing basically an all-star team. From
They basically
across the
played a
country.
college team in the
Yeah.
first week.
Yeah,
They played a college. They played a college.
Since
they played
then-
a Division III college team.
since then, PR has defeated Hempfield 49-0 and Moon 42-14. They've clearly gotten back on track here. I'm going to go with Pine-Richalnd again. Another tough one for Butler. I'm going to say 42-7 Pine-Richalnd. Derek, what are your thoughts?
Pine-Richland's got a lot of offensive weapons. Last week they had 4 different players score touchdowns. Their quarterback Cole Spencer is capable of putting up big numbers. It's a mismatch for Butler until they get that offense going. Until Butler can get a passing game going.
Right.
Take a little bit of pressure off of that running game. They're going to be in trouble. I see PR winning this game 41-7.
With Butler, it's almost like you have to go like baby steps. You have to go.
You
Your
do.
expectations have to be tempered. You have to look at the little things. You have to look at drive by drive, play by play, executing. Doing the little things right. And eventually, those things are gonna add up. But they're not gonna add up this week. Pine-Richland's just too good. It's gonna be 49-14.
They need Butler doesn't need a great pass game, but they need a pass
They need a
game.
threat.
They just don't have one right
Teams
now.
need to at least
Right.
fear that they're going to at least be able to move the ball in the air a little bit. Until they get that, teams are going to load up against the run. Butler's going to be running against the brick wall. That's
Butler,
what's gonna
yeah, they're
happen.
slowly starting to work some of those sophomores into the lineup, in particular running back Byron.
Yeah, he's been a
Oh,
really
yeah,
big
for
bright
Butler.
spot for them.
Or Byron Manchester, I'm sorry. He looked real good last week. They ran for over 80 yards, including a 47-yard touchdown against their first-string defense from Mount Lebanon.
Yeah.
So, but you've got to be able to loosen up the defense, and right now Butler just can't do that. Very good game here down at Seneca Valley. Mount Lebanon 2-1 at the Raiders, also 2-1. Derek, you cover Seneca on a regular basis. This really looks like an interesting game to me.
The quarterback matchup, Seth Morgan from Mount Lebo and Gabe Lawson from Seneca Valley. Both kids are dual threats. Both can run the ball, obviously pass the ball. Again, I'm kind of pushing aside Seneca Valley's win last week against Cannon Mac.
Right.
I'm focusing on what Seneca did their first 2 weeks. They dominated McDowell, and they lost a very close game against Central Catholic. I like their defense. As I said before, it's a hard-hitting defense. I think they're going to be able to get after this quarterback a little bit, maybe cause a few turnovers. I see Seneca winning this game 31-17.
All right, Mike. your thoughts?
Seneca's legit. They're legit. They're gonna win this
So
game.
they get the Curry seal.
They get the
They get
Curry-
the I see.
They get the
Curry
Curry
seal.
seal. Legit.
Alright.
Legit. Seneca's legit. They're gonna win 31-14.
Wow. Okay. I'm picking a much closer game than you guys. I'm gonna stay with you guys and go with Seneca Valley. But I was impressed with Seth Morgan, Mount Lebanon's quarterback. He can run. He can throw. He's got some good receivers. Mount Lebanon's got a pretty impressive line. I think it's going to be offensive battle. But I'm picking Seneca Valley also. But I'm going 28-21 Seneca Valley.
Seneca's legit.
They are
That's all you need
legit.
to know.
Too legit to quit. As they say. Okay, Highlands at
That's
Knoch.
still what people
No,
say.
I know.
Maybe,
but
maybe
I'm showing my age a
maybe
little
in
bit.
1980s.
Yeah, maybe I'm showing my
maybe
age,
in
but
1989 they said that.
Okay.
but,
Highlands at Knoch, a battle of winless teams. The Knoch Knights 0-3. Got some bad injuries last week. We don't know yet. As as of this show, what the status of some of the players are, including their quarterback Chase Mullen. But Highlands has also been struggling. You know, Highlands has lost 32-14. Plum, they lost a shootout to Keystone Oaks 49-42, and Blackhawk handed it to them 34-13 last week. To me, this is a game that to me is determined by Knoch's injuries. I'm going to say that if Mullen and a couple of these other kids who got hurt last week do play for Knoch, they're a little banged up. I'm going to go with Highlands in a very close game, 21-20. Derek?
You mentioned one of Highlands' scores. You said they lost to Keystone Oaks 49-42. Right. I know it's a loss, but I'm thinking
out there.
Highlands was able to put up that many points against Keystone Oaks team that looks to be pretty solid. So, like you said, we don't know exactly what the injury situation is for Knoch, but my last two memories of Knoch were them giving out big plays, especially in the running game to both Blackhawk and Hampton. So I got to go with I'm going with Highlands here, 28-7.
Mike?
Knoch's just too banged up. Even if those guys do play, they can't be 100%. It's just going to be one of those seasons for Knoch where it's just have not gone right for them. I think Highlands is going to do enough offensively in this game to win this one. I think they win 28-20.
Okay, big game over at Mars coming up. Penn Hills 3-0 at the Mars Planets 3-0. Derek, is Mars one of the teams you cover on a regular basis? We'll start with you on this one. This could be quite a ball game here.
I'm going to be there too. I'm looking forward to covering this game. This shows you the cruel world of Whitfield football for some teams in some instances. Mars' defense has been outstanding.
Yep.
The first 3 weeks. The team's 3-0, and yet when it comes to making the playoffs, they haven't done anything yet. It all comes down to how you do in your conference games.
Exactly.
And this is their first conference game. So I feel pretty confident in saying that this will be the most team speed that Mars is going to face up till now. Penn Hills brings a lot of team speed, and I think that's going to be a difference maker. I'm actually picking Penn Hills in this game, 28-20.
Yeah, I'm looking at Penn Hills, and you know, I spent a number of years, as you did, Mike, down in Steubenville, covering Steubenville Big Red, a legendary football program in the state of Ohio. And Penn Hills opened the season this year. We're going down into Harding Stadium and beating Big Red. That's a major selling point for me. That is no small feat. And since doing that, they've hammered Latrobe 50-13. They hammered Fox Chapel 46-0. Now, granted, those are two not real stellar programs, but all due respect to Mars, I agree with you, Derek. I think Penn Hill's speed is too much. They will be one of the teams that scores more than one time on Mars. That's almost a guarantee. Not quite, but almost. I'm going to say Penn Hills wins this game, but I think it's really going to be tight, 21-17. Penn Hills.
Yeah, I think Penn Hills' speed is going to be the difference in this game. Again, it seems like there's a lot of games on the schedule this week that are kind of like litmus tests for our local teams. Suffolk has a litmus test against Sharon. Karns City and Moniteau have a litmus test against each other to see how good they really are against a team that's kind of similar. And this is the one for Mars. We're going to see really how good this defense is. I think it's good, but I think the difference is Penn Hills has a little bit more speed. I don't think Mars is going to score enough. I don't think they're going to be able to keep. I think Penn Hills is going to break off a big play here and there, and that's going to be the difference. I see kind of a low scoring game actually. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Penn Hills 18, Mars 14.
Hey, well, if they're watching, we just fired up the Planets because it's a sweep against the Planets.
I hope they still feed me Friday.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be worried about that if I was in your shoes. But okay, we have North Catholic, the powerful Trojans, 3-0. They seem to just be destroying everything in their path. They travel to Central Valley to face a Central Valley team, Mike, that's surprisingly 0-3. This is usually a pretty high caliber football program, but they're not scoring points. They haven't scored more than 7 points in any of the first 3 games. Of course, all losses. How do you see this one?
Make Central Valley 0-4.
Okay.
North Catholic is going to roll again. You're right. That's very. If you're at Central Valley, you got to be wondering. Okay, maybe we can get things going this week. Who do we have? Oh, we got North Catholic.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're in trouble. North Catholic's going to roll. They're going to mercy roll them. It's going to be 42-7.
Derek?
Central Valley had a solid program ever since they came into
they consolidated, right?
Back in 2010. I think they have a couple Whitfield championships on their resume. This year, I'm not sure what's going on down there, but they're 0-3. They've been outscored 80-14.
Yep.
That doesn't bode well when you're going up against. We saw what North Catholic's capable of last week, as Mike said, going up against a really solid Freeport team and just dismantling them. I like North Catholic in this game, 37-14.
Yeah, Quaker Valley shut out Central Valley a couple of weeks ago, 18-0, and they just can't get any kind of offense going. And it's hard enough to play North Catholic. It's impossible if you can't score points. It's going to be a blowout. I'm also going with North Catholic. I'm going 45-7. So next game we have Elizabeth Forward 2-0 at Freeport 0-2. Third straight tough game for the Yellow Jackets. Derek, your thoughts on this matchup?
I hate to kick a team when they're down, but we talked about at the start of the season, Freeport's going to open the season with 3 straight heavyweights: Derry, North Catholic, and now Elizabeth Forward. One guy that you got to keep an eye on, or obviously Freeport's got to keep an eye on, is Zach Benedek for Elizabeth Forward last week. 112 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. We don't know the status. Am I right about Connor Selling?
We do not know. Sure. I don't believe he played last week. So
I think this is going to be a close game, but I see Elizabeth Forward coming on the road and scoring a 24-16 win.
Mike, what do you think?
I think Freeport's going to bounce back. I just don't see them starting 0-3. Not with John Gillott and Austin Romanchuk. I just have a feeling they always find a way. They're going to find a way to gut this one out. They're going to find a way to not start 0-3, because they start 0-3. I mean, that's a really hard hole to climb out of. I think they find a way in this one. I think they win 14-8.
It is, but Elizabeth Forward, they scored 76 points in 2 games. So granted, they played Deer Lakes in Borough. So they played much tougher defense in Freeport. It's a game is at Freeport. That certainly helps the Yellow Jackets, but I still don't. I think they're going to start 0-3. Unfortunately for the Yellow Jackets, I think, but it will be a closer game. My pick is Elizabeth Forward 21-14.
Karns City, Moniteau.
Brings us to Karns City, Moniteau. It's like both teams 1-2, and I'll tell you what. I'll pick this one first, just because I can't see Karns City starting out 1-3. I just can't see it. Moniteau struggled last week at Ridgeway. Disappointing loss for them. They're playing at home. I don't know if their field might still be a lake by Friday night. I can't imagine what the Moniteau's field looks like right now as we sit here talking on late Monday afternoon. But I'm going Karns City. Moniteau, give them a fight, but I'm going Gremlins by the score of 27-20. Derek, what's your thoughts?
So both teams don't have the numbers that they would like to have as far as players on their roster. I think Karns City's got a few more kids, a few more capable bodies.
Not many. They got, I think, 33 or something like that.
And Moniteau had
28. Yeah, so it's close. Yeah.
It's close. I know this game's at Moniteau, and that helps the Warriors, because who knows what the weather's going to be like Friday. Hopefully better than this past weekend. But I like Karns City in this game, 31-16. Kind of like last year's game. Moniteau keeps it close. Karns City scores a touchdown late to kind of pull away, 31-16 Gremlins.
Mike, you've seen both these teams play, so you're probably the most qualified out of this panel to pick this game. Who do you like here?
Well, like I said earlier, I think they played 100 times. Each team would win 50 times. It is at Moniteau. Moniteau likes to keep that grass really high. Against Clarion, it was like ankle high, and people's entire feet were getting lost in the grass.
Well, they watered quite a bit this week.
Feeling that grass is going to be pretty long, but then again, Karns City is doesn't have exactly a lot of burners either. They have Hunter Jones is fast, and they have a couple other quick guys, but it's not like they have Olympian track athletes out there either. Obviously, a slow field helps Moniteau because they're a bruising, running. They have 2 big running backs, but that notwithstanding, I think Karns City is just a hair better right now than Moniteau. I think the difference is at the quarterback. I think Kaminsky can throw the ball a little bit better than Chance Nagy.
Mm-hmm.
I think to win this game, we're going to have to hit a couple key passes, and I think Karns City is more capable of doing that right now than Moniteau is. So that's why I think Karns City is going to win this game 25-20.
Okay, this brings us to another intriguing game. We've got a few tight games on the docket this week. This one, Sharon at Slippery Rock. The Sharon Tigers 2-1, Slippery Rock 3-0. Mike, I'll come right back to you on this pick since you follow Slippery Rock rather closely. But Sharon has owned this series. They've beaten Slippery Rock 22 out of 28 previous meetings. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think Slippery Rock gets this one. I think the difference is Slippery Rock's defensive line. They're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage, keep Sharon in check, keep the score down a little bit. Because Slippery Rock can't win a track meet with Sharon in this one. They gotta keep the score down. And I think Slippery Rock's capable of turning out long drives with the running game, with Vita Pelosi running the ball out of the quarterback position, Kayla Cameron running. David Duffalo has gotten some carries. Also got some good yardage for Slippery Rock. I think Slippery Rock just grinds this one out. They win 28-21.
Personally, from Slippery Rock's standpoint, I like the timing of this game. It's right in front of the Grove City game, and like I said, Sharon has a very strong history against Slippery Rock. For that, and Slippery Rock certainly, I'm not suggesting for a second they're going to look past Sharon. They can't, given a recent history of facing them. But I can see the Tigers coming in there and winning a close game. I'm going to go with Sharon to hand Slippery Rock their first defeat of the season. Very low scoring ball game, 20-14, Sharon. Derek, what are your thoughts?
You're on your own here because I like
Uh-oh.
the game's at Slippery Rock. If the game was at Sharon, I might go the other way. As you said, Sharon definitely has a better Slippery Rock if you look back through the years of the history of this matchup. But I like that defense. I think Sharon's going to be able to get some plays, but not enough plays. I think Slippery Rock uses that home field advantage and wins by 7, 24-17.
Slippery Rock played Sharon really tough last year. They were one of the only teams that played them tough. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they're in Sharon's living rent free in Slippery Rock's head anymore. I think Slippery Rock's not intimidated by Sharon anymore.
Yeah, Slippery Rock hadn't beaten them since 2014. They hung a 28-13 loss on Sharon that year, but they've only scored 14 points against them in the last 3 seasons.
This is a different offense.
It is, and as I said, I can see them scoring a couple times on them, but I see Sharon winning a close one. But hopefully, you guys will prove me wrong.
You were wrong.
But, all right, we'll go to.
Slippery Rock's legit.
That's
the word of the day.
I won't say it.
Word of the day is legit.
Right, they're legit. Union AC Valley 1-2, and they gave Kernersville quite a scare last week. The only difference was a missed PAT on Union AC Valley's part in a 14-13 loss. They go to Oswego Valley. Derek, I'm not gonna lie, I have not been able to find anything on Oswego Valley. I don't know if you did, so I'll go to you first.
On my schedule, it says Otto Eldridge, so I think there are combinations.
Oh, maybe that would explain things.
You got 2 teams here that are co-ops, so that's interesting. But
okay.
I just talked to AC Valley early in the show here when I was talking about things that surprised me last week. I was surprised they kept that game against Kernersville so close. They lost 14-13. Otto Eldridge is a program that was really down for several years. Last year they found their way into the playoffs. This year so far they're 2-1. They crushed Cameron County last week. I don't know how much you could take from that because Cameron County is horrible. But Cole and Chase Sebastian, that's the 2-headed monster Otto Eldridge has at quarterback. They're brothers. Last week they combined for over 300 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think it's a close game. I like Otto Eldridge, though, in this to pull out a 27-21 victory. But I like the direction Dittman's got that program going.
Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm going to pick, what is it, Otto
Eldridge / Oswego Valley.
I'm going to pick Oswego, Otto Valley Eldridge to win this one. AC Valley is heading in the right direction, but as Derek said, it sounds like whatever you want to call the team they're playing this week, Otto Eldridge, Oswego Valley, Otto Valley,
combo deal. I don't know. Combo deal.
Eldred, whatever you want to call them. I think they're just a little bit too hard to handle, those 2 running backs. So I think Union AC Valley. I think they're going to go down 34-20.
Yeah, I think Union AC Valley. I think will hold it close with a much improved defense this year that they're playing. They're only giving up 14 points in the last couple of games. But Otto Eldridge / Oswego Valley, whatever, as you say, whatever they call them. I think they pop in 3 scores on them, and I pick Otto Eldridge to win this game 21-7.
One more game.
Otto Valley. I think that's a pretty.
Otto Valley. That's a nice compromise. The last game, Port Summit Academy. They're 0-3. They haven't scored a point yet. They took one on the chin at Washington last week, 58-0. They travel to Burgettstown this week to face the Blue Devils. I got to go with Burgettstown, but I think this is the week that Summit scores. But I'm going to go with Burgettstown 28-6.
Yeah, Summit. You have to believe that they're going to get this offense going eventually. When I talked to Coach Shearer before the season, he was raving about some of the skill guys, but he always comes back to the same issue Summit has every year. It's getting the offensive and defensive lines to gel, because these kids, some of them have never played football before. They definitely haven't played together before. An offensive line, a lot of it is familiarity, playing with each other, being a unit, and they just don't have that. I think that's contributed to their scoreless streak. But I think they get on board this week. I don't think they win, but I think they make it close. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Burgettstown's going to win 22-18.
Well, thankfully that was our last game, because the producer just yawned at us moments ago.
I gotta pick this game. I gotta pick this. This is the pick.
That's right.
That's right.
Got to pick before producer falls asleep.
Burgettstown, 40-6. Summit ends their scoreless streak.
All right.
But they lose by 34.
Okay. All right, but I guess at least they're scoring anyway, so that's a good thing.
If only 34
Baby
things
steps.
would have gone right for them, they would have won.
Well, we always close the program with how about a look at another sport this week. How about the Karns City boys soccer team? We've been talking about KC football, and of course their girls soccer team is always dominant. But the boys soccer team, coached by Jim Greninger, off to a great start. A lot of winning there through the years for them as well. But they defeated Clarion Limestone 6-1. They beat Brookville the other day 5-2, and Dakota King 5 goals in 2 games. Derek, what are your thoughts on the KC boys and their quick start here?
Last year, Jim Greninger admitted that he said they had to hang their hat on just plain out hard play, heart, and a solid defense. But he admitted that there was a little bit of a lack of athleticism when it came to scoring goals. Even with that, Karns City went to the District 9 title game and was up 1-0 late before giving up some late goals to St. Mary's, and they lost it there. This year they've got more athleticism on offense, and it's shown in these games. 11 goals in 2 games we were just talking there. Another thing is, Jim Greninger was a long-time assistant under Roy Parker.
Yes, he was.
When Roy Parker stepped down, from an outsider's point of view at least, it seemed like it was a seamless transition. Jim Greninger stepped right into that head coaching role, didn't miss a beat. Players know what to expect there. He's been the head coach now for, I think, 6 seasons. Mm-hmm. And I think this year could be a big year for Karns City, considering last year they made the District 9 title game with lacking that athleticism on offense. This year they got it back, so look out for the Gremlins.
And also, Jim Greninger, we should mention the father of former Gremlin girls soccer great Brittany Greninger, doing a great job coaching the Freeport girls now. Mike, this Karns City boys team in that Brookville game, they scored 3 goals in the first 5 minutes and put that game away early. What are your thoughts on the Gremlins?
Well, it looks like Dakota King is going to be the next great goal scorer.
It looks that way, yep.
It seems like they always turn them out. They always have guys who scored an obscene amount of goals during the season. That's something they might have lacked last year. Like Derek said, last year was a little bit of a blip on the radar, where they didn't have that go-to guy. They didn't have a guy that can fill up the net 5 times in a game. It looks like they have that guy this year, and that makes all the difference in the world in high school soccer, particularly at this level, particularly for Karns City and the way they like to play. So I think this is going to be, like Derek said, another great banner year for Karns City, and it starts with Dakota King. I think he's going to end up with those big, obscene numbers that we always see from Karns City soccer players.
Be a candidate for a boys soccer player.
Yeah.
You never know, an early candidate for sure. Yeah, Karns City boys, and I'll even throw the girls in there. Karns City boys and girls soccer in District 9 is the equivalent of the New England Patriots in the NFL. Other people in the district are tired. Other people in the district are tired of seeing them win. They're just tired of, but
they deflate the soccer balls and spy on other teams before they play them.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there at all. But Karns City boys soccer off to a great start. Probably another great year. And we will catch you all next week for what will be week 4 of Up On for the
Week 5.
whatever week it is. We'll be back.